Welcome to the Tech Ranch, live and local here on Super Talk 1270. The latest gadgets, online security, websites and apps, social media, and so much more. How can technology help you? Let's find out. It's time for the Tech Ranch on Super Talk 1270.
From our studios in beautiful Mandan, North Dakota, along the mighty Missouri River, here is your guru of geek, Marlo Anderson.
Biometric scanning is considered to be the savior of security issues, but is it really? What happens if your eye print or fingerprint is stolen? Miss Metaverse will be on later to chat about this potential new security breach.
Yay!
And you'll need to stay tuned because this is a very important discussion about where things are going with security in the future. Also, we will be going over some great new gadgets and other tech with producer extraordinaire Jim Walsh.
Me.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. You know, summertime and it's kind of lazy and hazy, but I'm managing, you know.
You know, isn't it amazing when we live in an area with 4 seasons in it, how the season kind of drags on? Don't you feel that way? I mean, I feel that way in the winter.
There does come a point when it starts to turn cool and you're kind of relieved by it.
I just can't get over that we have that same feeling about summer, because summer is the time for fun. You can get outside.
I mean, it's my favorite time of year.
Fall is my favorite time, actually.
Okay.
I love the fall.
I can understand that.
Colors and the coolness in the air in the morning.
The only problem with fall is what comes after fall.
I know. I just don't think about it. So,
all right.
Anyway, did you see the Star Trek movie over the weekend?
No, I heard it did #1 at the box office.
Okay.
However, it was not as big as the last one that came out.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Opening weekend.
Okay.
Yeah, the last one did better on the opening day.
Interesting. I haven't been there yet either.
The second one with Khan.
This is the first opening that I've missed.
Oh.
Since 1979.
Well.
So there you go. I know. I'm not sure how to take it, but I was busy, so I was unable to get there. So
stuff happens.
I know. It's just how it is. It's not as big a priority to me as it used to be.
You were out running around with Alexa over the weekend, weren't you? We got to talk about that.
Speaking of Alexa.
Oh.
Alexa.
Hello, Alexa.
There we go.
Okay, she lit up.
Yeah.
We should explain.
Can't connect to your Wi-Fi network. You can find setup instructions in the Help section of your Alexa app.
So the goal here was to set up Amazon Echo
right.
for today so we could interview her.
Yeah.
But, of course, I didn't get here quite early enough to get through all the setup. And I've had other issues. As you know, my battery in my phone is dead, and I need that connector and programmer and all that.
You and I are
stuff.
having one of those perfect storm kind of days.
It's one of those days, yes.
Yeah.
So, anyway, we are actually going to have Alexa on next week, and we'll actually interview this kind of new device that Amazon has put out. She's fabulous.
She looks like... like an oil can, or
yeah, I guess you could say that.
Yeah.
Two times
like
the size.
A bottle of Metamucil without the label. I don't know.
It's too bad
that cylindrical shape.
She's obviously talking to me. If we go Alexa, and she
lights up.
We'll try it again. Alexa, there we go.
And she lit up like a Christmas tree.
But she's just
I can't connect to your Wi-Fi network. You can find setup instructions in the Help section of your Alexa app.
She has a great voice.
One-track mind, hasn't she?
Yeah, that's all she can think about is connecting right now.
Oh, baby.
So that's how it is. So.
Oh, mama.
Yeah, so we'll have to skip over Alexa today, but Tesla in the news again.
Yeah.
And many of you know Elon Musk, the founder of SpaceX and Tesla, and earlier on in PayPal. That's kind of how he made his fortune, actually, is through PayPal.
Right.
And he's going over the 3 steps to, so he's got, I'm trying to read through all this here. 2006, Musk announced his secret Tesla Motors master plan. Step 1 of 3 was to build a sports car, which he's done. Step 2 was to use that money to build an affordable car, which he's doing.
Okay.
And then use that money to build an even more affordable car, which is where he's working right now. So the new Tesla that comes out in 2018, the current model, I think the least expensive runs about $70,000, pushes up to $100,000. I don't know if you remember McGill when he was in Danielson, when he was in about a month and a half ago or so. He owns a Tesla. And we were talking about ludicrous mode and all this other stuff, and I don't know if you remember him or not. That might have been actually when it wasn't Larry. Scott, I think, was taking your place that day.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
Yep.
I was out doing.
Yeah,
I was
that's
out with my dealing with my car issues.
Yes,
I think.
that's right. That's right. So anyway, speaking of cars, right? So now he's moving on to his next big challenge, and to create stunning solar roofs with seemingly integrated battery storage. Mm-hmm. So he wants to put basically solar shingles, solar whatever on roofs. And he actually has developed this battery pack that goes into homes, and I forget the name of it right now, but you hang it in your garage, and it's designed to collect solar power, and then it powers your entire house.
Now, do you have to hang it in the sun?
So you don't have to hang the solar pack or the
Directly
pack
in
in the sun, but you have to have a collector on the outside of it.
Okay.
And then it's just this big battery pack. And the ultimate goal here with this is to, man, I wish I could remember the name of it. But the ultimate goal is to basically charge your car and power your home all off the sun.
Off the sun.
Off the sun. Yeah. So that's the deal behind there. And going into that, then, his second point of the next three things he's working on is to expand the electric vehicle product line to address all major segments. And his third part is to develop a self-driving capability that is 10 times safer than manual via mass fleet learning. Mm-hmm. So, we talked a couple weeks ago about the accident in the Tesla and the gentleman who passed away.
Right.
Because he had it in autopilot mode and wasn't paying attention, and the car couldn't see the sun coming off this white truck, and the truck actually the back end of this truck was higher than what was legally allowed.
And Elon said he was aware of the situation, and they were working on it.
That's correct. That's correct.
Specific issue.
Yes. So, and they're going to run into that, but this is the thing, is that he's accumulating all this data from all of these cars, and because of the accumulation of data, it will make driving safer and safer and safer, because all this data will be shared between all of the vehicles and then shared to all autonomous vehicles. So,
alrighty.
So that's kind of cool. So
okay, we got a break coming up. Does
all right.
Alexa have anything to contribute before we take a break here?
Alexa, have anything to say?
I can't connect to your Wi-Fi network. You can find
obviously she's going to continue to have this issue. After the break, everybody, Jim and I will continue our conversation on cool gadgets that you should have this summer. So come on back.
Right now, 77.
Here's Sean Hannity, weekday afternoons on Super Talk 1270.
Follow the Guru of Geek at facebook.com/the Tech Ranch or Twitter at Guru of Geek or thetechranch.com. Here again is your Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson.
And we want to thank all the listeners across the country and around the world who follow us on the Blueberry Network.
Yay.
We're on the Tech Podcast Network. We're on Roku, Apple TV, Tuned In, and of course our own app, Radio Pup, all kinds of places that you can find the Tech Ranch after the broadcast today. So
Marlo's here this week along with me.
Yes, we're in
Tim.
studio.
And Alexa.
And
Alexa.
She's not Alexa. She likes my voice
She likes
better,
your
Jim.
voice. I don't know.
She might be tuned into my voice.
Connect to your Wi-Fi network.
That's enough of that.
So we were just talking about Elon Musk and his vision of the future when it comes to the Tesla and autonomous vehicles. So as I was reading through this article, one of his, he's talking a little bit about, I think you got the mic on Alexa there.
I was just going to leave it open in case
she
you had something to contribute.
Okay, very good, very good. And
it's live radio.
Well, I'm hearing a mower in the background, Jim. That's why.
It's mowing day outside the studio here.
That's why I was like, I wonder where that's coming from. I'm like, oh, that's right. I probably got a live mic on Alexa here. So, but anyway, he is planning to use. So you buy a car,
right?
Okay, and it's an autonomous car. Let's talk 10, 15, 20 years in the future.
Okay, the one I have right now is not, by the way.
Mine neither, actually. Okay. So, yeah. But most of the time, your car kind of just sits in the garage or at work or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So how cool would it be that if you bought a car and then the car could make you money because people could use it to ride share?
Well, you got my attention.
You just put it in the network, and people who need to maybe use it during the day. Maybe you don't need it from 8 a.m. to noon, so you can program it in there that as long as my car's back by noon, go out and make me some money while so you're picking up other people.
Even it's like Lyft or
except that it's autonomous and you own the car. So
and I don't actually even have to get in the car and drive it.
It'll just go pick up people when they summon the vehicle, and
it's like Uber without the driver.
That's exactly right. Well, in fact, Uber and Lyft both are investing heavily in autonomous technologies for this very reason.
Yeah.
You know, they want to have vehicles that are stationed maybe in busy places where cars are being called on all the time.
Right.
So they'll just have cars stationed wherever, and they'll just drive and pick you up and deliver you. So,
But you know, the only thing, as the lawnmower
Yes.
goes by there, the only thing is, you know, every time there is some kind of mishap, every time somebody gets hurt or dies, which unfortunately that kind of thing does happen,
Yes.
it's going to get headlines, it's going to make the news, and people are going to wig out. And Elon is going to have to go on TV and you know, spin it or whatever he has to do to talk his way around it. And I don't know that people are quite ready for it yet.
yeah, I won't argue with that. But, you know, I watched over at TEDx last week, there was a filmmaker there, and she did a documentary on wolves.
Wolves.
And
Fascinating.
Most people, it was actually very fascinating. I thought,
Yeah.
you know, I
You ever see that movie, Never Cry Wolf?
I've never seen that movie.
Oh, it's a good movie.
I'll do
Go see if Netflix has. Seriously.
okay.
It's a
I'll
good
do that.
movie.
I'll do that.
Came out in the 80s.
And anyway, she was talking about, you know, in this documentary that people are so afraid of wolves and that type of thing. There's only 2 documented cases of wolves killing humans. And in both cases, the animals were rabid or what have you, right? Okay. So then she went on to claim that, you know, all these regulations in place to save us from wolves and all this other stuff. Did you know that more people die from cows than
I believe
wolves?
it. Yeah.
From deer
How
than
do you
wolves?
get killed by a cow?
Well, I suppose people
You eat steak
get,
for 50 years and get cholesterol.
that's
I guess.
true, I guess. Yeah, I suppose get in their way. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
cow would have no clue if he stepped on or he or she stepped on.
Or how
you,
about
right?
this? You're out cow tipping in the middle of the night,
That
and
would-
the bull comes along.
That's exactly right. I mean, you know,
And the bull's saying, "What you doing with my woman?"
but that's the thing. You know, a lot of times the media, which I guess we're kind of part of, cry wolf often.
Yeah, cry wolf.
And it really isn't justified, you know.
Well,
and I think a lot of
piranha.
times
You know, the
it's-
whole thing about piranhas being vicious man-eaters, that's
Yeah.
a lot of hype.
you have to
behind
have
that.
a lot of piranhas to make that happen, don't you?
Yeah, under very specific circumstances. You almost have to prod them into doing it.
Well, and it seems to me I was watching something somewhere. Don't they eat them in places?
Yes.
So they catch them as edible fish.
You know, it's far more dangerous is those little worm things that get up inside your your winky. That's far worse than a piranha.
I appreciate that visual,
Okay,
Jim.
yeah. It's radio, theater of the mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Winky.
So anyway, you know, I think, you know, and I'm not saying that technology doesn't have its fallbacks, but, you know, even in war, you know, usually the country with the best technology wins, and that has proved
Generally,
time
yes.
and time again to be the case. You know, so technology is wonderful, but there's always going to be something somewhere along the lines. You know, I don't think many of us would give up internet anymore, even though we have all these disadvantages with it. I mean, you know, you still run huge.
It's hard to imagine life without it. It's like
hard
what
to
television was for our parents.
It really is.
You know, came along all of a sudden, you know, the time before it, you just don't even consider it relevant.
Yeah, talking to the grandkids over the weekend, you know, we were trying to explain to them that when we grew up, we had 2 channels, 2 TV channels, and we didn't have a remote. I mean, the remote was going over there and turning the dial.
Yeah, it was barbaric.
Just they have no
get up and walk across the living room.
And now they have
Change
devices
the
that
channel,
they're on.
walk all the way back.
That's right. Now they hop on the devices and watch video anytime they want to. You know, they have no concept at all.
Well, I grew up in a big city. We had 3 channels.
Really?
Yeah, near Philadelphia, we had 3, 6, and 10. And then Channel 12 came in, which was the PBS. That came in around 64, 65. Because I think Johnson was the guy who got that going.
Okay.
And then on a good day, depending on the weather, you could pull into Baltimore stations. They were kind of snowy, though.
When I was in elementary school, the school I was going to, there was a big field between our house and the school. And I'm guessing it was like 3/4 of a mile or whatever. I would run home because I wanted to be home by 4 so I could watch reruns of Star Trek.
Cool.
I'm just stating, and here we are today talking about Star Trek. So I think that's pretty cool. And speaking of Star Trek, let's talk a little bit about Star Trek Tech.
Star Trek Tech.
you watch the original Star Trek back in the 60s, and they had that communicator, right?
Right.
That sometimes they'd flip open. Boy, that certainly looks like a flip phone by today's standards, doesn't it? Pretty interesting. And who would have thought...
Bring me up, Scotty.
In just a short 30, 40 years from the airing of that show with communicators that we would be basically communicating just like what they're doing on
Isn't it 50 years as of this year?
50 years,
50 years.
50 years of Star Trek. So, it's kind of amazing when you think about it, right?
Yeah.
And, of course, the tricorder that you see bones going over your body with, to see what's going on in you internally. Now we have a device called Scanadu, like Xanadu.
Yeah, you go to the doctor. They don't stick you don't stick the thermometer in your mouth or wherever anymore.
It's crazy what's going on in the medical realm right now. But yeah, this device called Scanadu.
Right across your forehead.
Yep. But they can scan for many things now, and they're actually getting to the point where they figure that they're going to be able to do just external scans of you instead of going into an X-ray booth or whatever.
Yeah.
They'll be able to tell if you have a broken bone or if your heart isn't working quite like it should, take your blood pressure, all this stuff without hooking up a bunch of stuff to you anymore.
It's amazing.
It really is amazing when you think about it. And, even our Fitbits and things like that all have these capabilities now. And in very near future, your phone will be talking to your doctor.
Imagine a day, and it'll come, probably not in our lifetime, but the day will come when it'll be just like Star Trek. You'll walk in, and the doctor will take his little tricorder thing and go, beep, 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 beep. Oh, you need a bypass, a heart bypass. Beep, 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 beep. Okay, you're done. You can go. It'll be like that.
Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah.
Or at least administer some type of drug or whatever to you, and 10 minutes later you can go home.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Well, I was in one of the Star Trek movies. They were in the hospital in the present day because they had to time travel to save the whales. Remember the one with the whales?
Yeah, well, it's like the most favorite Star Trek of all time. You were in this movie?
No, I was not in the movie. I'm saying there was an old lady in the movie in present-day San Francisco, and her kidneys were going out on her.
I remember this
scene.
So
Bones gave her, says, take these pills, and you cut back later, and she's up and dancing around.
Yeah.
And
Doctor gave me some pills, and the local doctors are going crazy.
Her kidneys are fine. She's got the kidneys of a 20-year-old girl. Amazing.
And, of course, he's going through there talking about how barbaric the medical practice is at the
even
time.
In our own lives. One of my favorite topics when you talk about medicine is anesthesia.
Sure.
I'm old enough, you probably are too, to remember the day when they still, a lot of cases for surgery, they put you under with ether.
Oh, yeah.
And that stuff was awful.
Yep.
It was an horrible experience.
Yep.
Now they got stuff, I swear, man, you go in there, they put the stuff in your veins, and you're on the dark side of the moon. You don't even know it.
You have no clue.
It's great.
And you wake
Last
back
time
up
I had surgery, I came out of it like it was like a long, dreamless nap. It was actually quite pleasant.
And you're all fixed up.
Yeah.
So just like
amazing.
That. It is amazing. It really is.
I love it.
Really is.
I would not want to go back to the good old days of, Civil War medicine.
Well, like you said, and you think about that. Oh my goodness! I mean, they would look at you and say, "Well, I guess the arm has to come off."
Yeah.
There was just that was the choice.
Oh, that was the Ken Burns thing. They describe, a little chloroform here. Whiff this. Okay, is he out? Oh, he's out enough. And they do the saw thing.
Yep.
Saw bones.
Yep.
That's where it came from.
Yep.
And they throw it in the bucket. Next.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, you really think about that.
And in the Civil War, more people died from disease and problems with medical care than with were actually shot in the war.
But I think overall, didn't they say that I forget this number, but 600 and some thousand people died during the Civil War.
But of those people who died, more than 50% died of disease and health-related issues.
Exactly. Boy, we're getting way off tech topics today.
Well,
but that's
I
okay.
don't think so, because we're talking about medicine.
We are,
and
how things have gone on. You bet.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, all right, everybody, after the break, Miss Metaverse,
Yay!
Katie Aquino, who we haven't heard from for a little while, will be joining us. We'll be talking about biometric scanning, and this is something you'll want to stay tuned for, so come on back. And joining us, let's see, how should we need like a drum roll or something.
Ominous rumblings here. Ruffles and flourishes.
Somebody we haven't had on the show forever. Katie Metaverse.
Yeah.
Katie, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Marla. How you doing?
We're doing Well, I'm doing fine too. I hope Jim's doing okay.
Yeah, I'm surviving.
It's Monday, isn't
Jim!
it? Yeah.
How are you doing?
Oh, not too shabby.
So
I can't
Awesome.
I can't complain, but sometimes I still do.
you know, I was actually working on the website last night, and of course, the three of our photos are across the top. You know,
Right.
Jim, Katie, and myself.
Well, we have that one photo on the website of you with Katie.
Oh, really?
When she was here. Yeah,
That's cool. That's cool. But
Awesome.
I can't remember the last time the three of us were actually together on the show that we're supposed to be together on.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I know, right?
I've never met Katie in person. Never got to shake her hand or anything.
we'll have to change that, Jim.
Yeah, next time, Katie, next time you're in town, let me know. We'll work something out.
I know we should. We should have a live show, like all of us together.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be cool to do sometime. We'll have to work on that. So anyway, so we're going to talk a little bit about biometric scanning. And, you know, some of us probably don't even know what we're talking about here. So, Jim, are you familiar with biometric scanning?
It sounds like it would be something like we were talking about with the Star Trek medication thing earlier.
Okay.
With the tricorders and all that. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
You say
that's
bio,
it.
I mean, the
That's
prefix
ticket.
bio to me implies biology, medicine.
And you know, if we were talking about medicine, that would probably be an appropriate thing to state as well.
Yeah.
But in this instance, we're going to be talking about security. So,
Oh, okay.
so Katie, why don't you talk a little bit about how biometrics are being used in security right now?
Okay, so, I mean, first of all, what biometrics are is it's, in quotes, automated methods of recognizing a person based on a physiological or behavioral characteristic. So it means that among the features that are measured, you can scan your face, fingerprints, hand geometry, handwriting, your iris, retinal, a vein, and your voice. All these things can be used as biometrics. So what's happening now is that more of these technologies are coming out, and the first practical application would be for securing your cell phone. You know, a lot of us have gotten used to already, you know, iPhone users, and even with using your accessing your bank account. I know the Chase app has biometric security, so you can put your thumb on your cell phone, and it opens it like your password. And the same goes for your iPhone, too. I'm sure many phones have it. I'm not an Android user, but I'm sure it's the same.
Right. So, you know, and basically you're seeing biometrics being used for, you know, the most practical purpose probably is, you know, access to those accounts. And probably the biggest thing that drives this, and what is the reason that this drives us all crazy, is passwords.
Yeah.
You know, Jim, I don't know how often you have to change passwords, but it seems like it's a daily basis.
Well, I've got a whole list of them in my wallet. And if I lost it, I'd be out to lunch.
Sure. You know, and, you know, I think a lot of people probably don't carry their list on their wallet, by the way.
Probably not the best. I probably should
one.
hide it somewhere, maybe in a car or something.
Yeah, you should have it someplace where it's not maybe as readily accessible.
Under the doormat.
But a lot of people do that, including myself. I write these things down all the time too. I also have an electronic measure that I write all these passwords on. And the thing is, like most of us, we have many sites and maybe many softwares that we use nowadays, and this one requires you to change it every 3 months. This one requires you to change it every year. The other one doesn't require you to change it at all. So as a result, after a while, you just start to have this whole book of passwords, and you don't even know which one you're using anymore.
The alternative is to have one password for everything, which is also not a good idea.
It doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. So then you know you can go to something like LastPass. Do you use LastPass, Katie?
No.
Okay. So LastPass is a piece of software that allows you to, you know, put a password in, and then it remembers it for you. So every time you go to this particular site or this software, it'll actually input this stuff in for you. So that's an okay measure, but you know, but if they get hacked or whatever and they've had these issues, then you lose all that stuff and you got to go through it again.
And some websites do require you to update your password periodically.
Yes.
You know, if you're not very imaginative like me, your password is the name of your dog. You know, sooner or later you're going to run out of dogs before you run out of passwords.
Right. And now we're getting to the point where some of these places are requiring double authentication, which means that you have to put your password in, and then a lot of times they'll text you a passcode or something that's unique to this particular instance, just
Yeah.
so that it's like a double. So it just prevents the bad doers from trying to get into your
Yes.
stuff, right?
The hackers.
Yes. So there's all kinds of things. So the savior of all of this, because it drives us all crazy, drives every one of us crazy, is biometrics. Stick your thumbprint on the phone, and voila, or it scans your eye.
Scans your eye, the blood vessels
Right,
in your eye.
right,
I've heard
exactly,
about that.
exactly. So,
like in there was a movie, the Tom Cruise movie,
yeah,
about the future.
Oh,
Yes.
help us out, Katie.
Minority Report.
Yeah, that's it. So there's all this stuff that's going on, and the reason that it drives all of this is because we hate passwords and we need better security. So
Yeah.
they think a biometric, and of course facial recognition falls into there too. And for security reasons, like a large group of people coming into an airport or whatever, they can use facial recognition to maybe pick out the bad people coming in to the airport.
Well, they're already doing that, aren't they?
They're already doing this, yeah, and it's becoming more and more of a practice all the time. They have some legal issues because, of course, in our country, you can't just start scanning everybody everywhere because there's some privacy concerns and that type of thing.
Yeah.
But for the most part, stuff's being implemented. So anything else to add to my scenario here or my synopsis, Katie, of why we're moving in this direction?
No, I mean, the thing is clear. We know that biometrics isn't just the future, it's happening now. I mean, the New York Times published an article, I think it was about a month ago, and it was this one. Oh, yeah, that's right. It said, "Goodbye password, banks opt to scan fingers and face instead." And it's true. I mean, everyone's saying that our passwords are about to expire forever. We're never going to use passwords the same way that we do now.
Yeah.
We are shifting into what they say by 2019, we're going to have over 500 million biometric scanners in use.
Okay.
And by 2019, they say that biometrics could be a $25 billion industry with those 500 million scanners. So you know that these things are happening, and it's a shift happening right now.
So there's a company in Kansas City that I had the opportunity to tour about a year and a half ago called iVerify. And that's exactly what they're doing. They're actually using your cell phone, your smart device, the camera, and able to scan your eye. Yeah, just like what you're doing there, Jim.
Well, supposedly your blood vessels in your eye are unique. They're like fingerprints.
Right. So, there's all kinds of things that are going on with this. But, probably in that same report that you had, Katie, I'm trying to... It may not be the same one, but they also talk about the fact that some of these companies who are rolling out biometrics, they have to be very careful about the data that they're grabbing. And in fact, there have been some hacks already with companies that are storing biometric data. And there was one here recently that they thought it was 1.1 million people, but now they're talking that it might have been over 5 million people that had information about their biometrics in this database, and now somebody has it.
Yeah, it's the never-ending race between the better mousetrap and the smarter mouse.
Right.
Yeah.
So, with that said, I guess, is it even a concern, actually? I mean, if somebody steals your biometrics, the fact that they would have to, somehow or another create an eye...
Yeah.
To have access to stuff. I mean, is that even a concern, Katie, at this time?
Well, it is. It's kind of a concern, sure, because you don't want anyone to have any of your personal information at all. I mean, with anything, but it's going to become smarter. And like you said before, it's like a game of cat and mouse. You have on one side the cybersecurity experts trying to find new ways to make this more preventable. Also, at the same time, the reason why this shift to biometrics is happening is because passwords and everything are simply not effective enough. But, it is evolving. This is a stepping stone. Biometrics itself are going to be a stepping stone. Where we're going from here, because you can't really say that biometrics are the future. They're happening now. If you have a Wells Fargo account, some of the users can use their phone to scan their eyes to access their bank account. This is already happening. But the next step from here is going to be using our thoughts to control our phones. Or not just phones, I mean to control our devices to be our passwords. So just imagine how crazy that's going to be when you can use your mind to actually unlock your devices or access your systems. So, I mean, that is the next step from here. Another way that is more practical for right now is, say, having other features. So, you know, having a combination of, you know, your eye plus your thumb, you know, something like that could make it more challenging for people to be able to use any of that data for themselves. So I think there is going to be an evolution. It definitely will be interesting for sure.
So you're thinking that, you know, maybe like a double authentication type of system for biometrics is going to be put in place too, which of course is going to drive people crazy again, because you're like, now I got to, it's just like the old passwords. I got to do this and do this and do this. Now I have to scan my toenail and my eye and my thumbprint. And now I have access to my bank account. So, I mean, it just seems like it always seems to be this cat and mouse type of deal.
Definitely.
All right. So after the break, everybody, I'm going to give you a scenario that's probably going to scare you a little bit with biometrics.
We're getting all Twilight Zone.
We are,
yes.
And I'm going to have Jim and Katie weigh in on that. So come on back.
Right now, 81.
The Red River Farm Network. Ag News is here on Super Talk 1270.
Follow the Guru of Geek everywhere he goes. Post your comments or questions at thetechranch.com. Once again, your Guru of Geek, Marlo Anderson.
What you're about to watch is a nightmare. It is not meant to be prophetic. It need not happen. It's the fervent and urgent prayer of all men of good will that it never shall happen. But in this place, in this moment, it does happen. This is the Twilight Zone.
I love it. Have you ever watched one of those like back to back for 24 hours straight?
Oh yeah, the binge watching. Sci-Fi usually has it on like Labor Day weekend and 4th of July weekend. I usually just tape them and watch them at my leisure.
I just love the old Twilight Zone. I really do.
Yeah,
fantastic.
And the Outer Limits, the original Outer Limits.
Yes.
You don't see too many of those anymore. You see Twilight Zone all the time on certain channels, but you don't see any of the old. I actually went out and bought the complete series on DVD.
Really? Of the Outer Limits?
2 years ago, yeah.
Really?
You can get complete series. You can get them separately, like a season at a time, or you can get the whole thing in one big package. And I bought them like one at a time over a period of a couple of weeks, and I got them at home, so I can watch them anytime.
That would be a good thing.
But you got to get the
do.
original. The black and white.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Of course, joining us on the phone, Katie. Oh, boy. I just about said it anyway.
Katie, what's her name?
What's her name?
Katie Jetson.
Miss Metaverse. Katie Metaverse. So we were just talking a little bit about biometrics, and we kind of laid the groundwork in the last segment about, you know, how biometrics are starting to take the place of using passwords, using your thumb print, your toenail, whatever it is, facial recognition, to start using that instead of passwords for better security. So we were talking about the cat chasing the mouse type of deal scenario here. So Katie, you know, with the advent of 3D printing, would a person be able to actually grab the information, let's say Jim's fingerprints, and actually create a scenario where you could print those fingerprints from the biometric data that they stole someplace?
That's something I've kind of thought about myself, to be honest, because like we mentioned before, Minority Report, which is such an awesome movie. I mean, in so many ways, it really makes you think with that scene where, you know, it's in the future and then you have to worry, you know, do you have to get a new pair of eyes or something? I mean, where could this go? Where could this lead to? It's very scary to think about for sure. But, you know, obviously it's science fiction. Our reality is a lot more interesting, I would say. But, you know, are people going to start 3D printing other people's fingers to use them for technology or security? I don't think so. I mean, I think it's going to get a little bit more a little bit better than that. I don't know. Would it be as functional? I don't think so. I'd like to think that there would be a very simple way to make that not a really good way to get around it somehow.
Sure.
You know, I think that, you know, being able to print a finger and use it on a phone should not even be possible. I mean, if it's that easy, then come on.
But that's the scary part about it. I mean, I know what you're saying, and maybe it's not quite possible yet, but I have a feeling that in the future, not too far from now, the ability to print organs and all of this stuff is starting to happen. And the ability for and I've always talked about to buy a 3D printer to print a gun, that's an expensive thing to do. It's a couple $100,000 to buy the 3D printer or whatever. But to somebody who owns a drug cartel, $200,000 is nothing. Yeah. Absolutely nothing. So if it costs $1 million to have a 3D printer so that you can start and you steal a database and this person's the head of HP or whatever, I'm just throwing scenarios out there. You get some high-level people that you can all of a sudden, you have their biometrics and you can start mimicking these people. That's kind of a scary proposition.
It definitely is, for sure. I mean, it's scary to think about, but also on the other hand, too, couldn't there be an easier way to kind of back this system up somehow? Like, let's say, for instance, you got to use your thumb to unlock your phone. So maybe it's your thumb plus your heartbeat. Maybe there's a way that you can capture your heartbeat and also your, thumb being placed down, and maybe those two combined could make it a little bit safer. But, as we said before, what is the end game? How many combinations of things will we have to go through? Just like, if you think about today, if you were to go back into the past before the internet even and say, one day you're going to need a password to use the internet. And not only are you're going to need a password, but you're going to have to change your password all the time. And not only that, but you're going to have to get these, programs that make all different kinds of passwords for you on the spot, and it's impossible for you to keep up with them, but if you use this app, it'll give you a new password every time and it'll be safe. People would think you're crazy.
Yep.
And the same thing goes for what we're doing now. We're looking at this new thing called biometrics. We're starting to get used to the very beginnings of it, but I think it too will evolve, so it's going to be very interesting indeed.
I like the idea of maybe a fingerprint and a voice print. And the voice print could be a combination of words that you just say, and that type of double authentication would be okay, because it would be easy or a lot easier than, the other ways to do that, or an eye print and a voice print or something along those lines. I think you're right. I think people who are a lot smarter than I are going to come up with great ideas here to use this so that it becomes a lot safer. We talk about, my stance on autonomous vehicles, and, I believe that technology will revolutionize the way we travel and will become dramatically safer, even though there's a lot of people out there who don't believe that. I certainly am on the side that says, yes, this technology is going to be a lot safer than what we have now. I do believe biometrics will be a lot safer than what we have now.
I do too. I definitely do, because the reality of it is that there is only one set of fingerprints that you get,
right?
And that is it. And even, when you see things in the movies like, you can burn off your fingerprints, you can't really burn off your fingerprints. No.
Right.
That, I mean, if you were to, you would have to really take off your whole finger, because it's actually pretty deep down there. It's very secure for sure. So I think that there's a lot of different things to take into consideration. On the other hand, too, one of the more controversial things is storing your kids' information. That's another thing I was reading when preparing for our chat today, because I was thinking, wow, there's so many people who are starting off with this biometric data for their kids. And there's something called a child ID kit. Have you ever heard of it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I've heard of it, sure.
Right. So, part of this whole child ID kit is being able to, put together this biometric data in a way that if, let's just say theoretically something were to happen to some child and they ran away or were, taken, that this kit would help better find the child. But on the other hand, too, there's a lot of controversy over this because, of course, that is your one permanent set of data. And, how long could it be sitting there or with a third party until whatever. So that's the thing, is that you really have to do your research, and you have to really kind of make smart choices and be aware. Just be aware that if you want to put together a child ID kit, or if you want to put your child's data out there, just be very conscious of how you're doing it, what you're doing it, and what the purpose is. And I think that it's good to know that, for sure.
Well, and I think the same would be true with your biometric data that you're doing yourself. I mean, if you don't know anything about the company, if it's an app you're downloading, like a flashlight, and you put it on your phone, and they ask you to press your thumbnail to it so they can scan it so that you can, they have that record so that you can use a flashlight. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Just like when you put a flashlight on your phone and they want to have access to your Facebook. Makes no sense. They do not need that data. So if that's the case, don't do it. Just use your own common sense and say there's something more to this here, and they don't really need this data, so let's not do that. And I think that's what you have to be careful with.
Exactly, definitely.
So, now I just lost my train of thought. I was going to have a very, very important question for you, and now I lost what I was going to ask. Maybe Alexa does know.
Hey, Alexa.
She's waiting for us now to actually input more information.
What was Marlo thinking about, Alexa?
She's not going to even answer. See, that's the thing. I was thinking nothing. That's why she's not answering. So
clever.
Yeah, today's one of those days. Let's go back to the announcement we made, because we only have a couple minutes left.
Yeah.
So we got about 2 minutes to go.
So tell us about it, Katie.
All right. No longer am I being known as Katie Aquino. From now on, as announced here on the Tech Ranch, I am known as Katie Metaverse. Yay. That is my name for now on.
Wow. Legally, you mean. So you're actually legally moving to Katie Metaverse.
Yes, exactly. Well, I was born Katie Schultz.
Okay.
And somewhere along my life journey, I became an Aquino. And from then on, I, of course, had launched my Miss Metaverse, and it's been evolving a long time. And the word metaverse has a lot of meaning to me because, just a lot of different reasons why.
Sure.
And I've decided I'm legally changing my last name to Metaverse.
So now we can call you.
We
can just call you Miss Metaverse, and we're accurate now.
And there you go. Exactly.
So, yeah, that's so cool. That is so cool. Well, congratulations, Katie, on that.
Bravo.
Couldn't be more excited for you, and it's great to have the whole team back again.
Yay!
After what? I think it's been 3 months since the three of us have actually had a conversation.
Sounds about right.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So, well, people get used to this because we're all back for a while now. So we should have some great shows coming up in the future. And thanks again, Katie. Thanks, Jim. Everybody have a great week.
Thank you.
You've been listening to the Tech Ranch, live and local on Super Talk 1270. Keep ahead of the trends. Tune in every Monday morning at 11 a.m. for the Tech Ranch. Exclusively here on Super Talk 1270 and online at supertalk1270.com.